Hello everybody and welcome into today's webinar. I'm your host Andy Herman. Today we are going to be kicking off our series, Expanding Your Digital Presence in a Remote World. Today is part one of our series and we're going to have 5 parts to this in total. But before we jump in, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to join me today. Let me start off by kind of introducing myself a little bit. So my name is Andy Herman. I am a Senior Associate Recruiter for Russell Tobin and Associates. I am an editor for Packer Report as well as a writer. I am a owner and creator of the Pack-A-Day podcast, a 365-day-a-year Packers podcast. I'm also an analyst on a TV show, Green Bay Nation. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. How all of that fits together, we don't have time to go into too much today, but I have been somebody that's been able to use Twitter in a variety of different ways, both kind of in my personal life, kind of with my side hustle, talking and writing about the Packers and the NFL, as well as in my professional career with Russell Tobin and as a recruiter in general, to kind of engage people, make contacts, network, etc., to kind of build a brand for myself, both as, again, a professional and as a writer in kind of the Packers and NFL sphere. So I'm going to kind of be going through some of those things today and how I've been able to utilize this specific tool to kind of help in that regards, and hopefully give you guys some information on how you're able to use Twitter as well to kind of build that engagement, build up a brand, and kind of help you throughout your career. I think one of the key things that we really want to kind of go over first is why Twitter. And I think this is a common theme. I think a lot of people understand the different social mediums and, how they can kind of utilize them and what they're best used for. But I think some people still kind of get confused as to, what Twitter is primarily used for and how they can use it to kind of benefit themselves. So I think probably the best way to start off is to let you know that Twitter is a real-time information network. So everything that happens basically in the world happens first on Twitter, which is a really crazy thing to say, but I think it's 110% true. So, before, when we had to get our news, of course, we've kind of gone through this crazy evolution, having to get it in, via word of mouth, then via print, then kind of over the air. We started getting it via the internet, but, previously you kind of had to go out and search for what, you wanted to find and kind of have that information come to you in a slower fashion. And if you think of kind of the news and, how you get information, whether it's via ESPN or NBC News or CBS or wherever you get your news from, they have to go through usually an editor to kind of get you that information. They have to make sure that the information is accurate, that there's no spelling errors. All of that takes time. And when you're on Twitter, when something happens, somebody tweets it out pretty much immediately. And that's where you follow your favorite writers. That's where you follow, your favorite news organizations. They're able to get that information to you instantaneously rather than having to kind of go through that entire vetting process. And if you're following the right people and following the things that you're passionate about, you're going to be the most informed, or at least the first informed about that information. As I mentioned, it happens on Twitter first. It also gives you the opportunity to make real organic connections. So I think probably most people who are viewing this webinar have used LinkedIn in some capacity. And I think there's sort of a corporate stuffiness at sometimes to LinkedIn. It's professional. It's, sometimes it's not always organic and real. And Twitter allows you the opportunity to make those real organic connections, especially about topics that you're passionate about. It also allows you to gain insights on customers or competitors or other professionals that are in your specific realm of what you're doing in your career. We don't always have the opportunity to kind of really pick the brains of our competitors or those who are the kind of the best, the titans of the industry, if you will. So, being able to log on to Twitter and follow these, again, titans of the industry, these influencers, these promoters, etc., it really gives you an insight into what other people are doing, what the best of the best of the best are doing to engage their followers. And again, it just kind of gives you that unique insight. It allows you to also be part of the conversation. These conversations, this breaking news, this a ton of information that's happening in real time, it's happening out there. And if you're not engaged with it, it's going to happen without you being part of that conversation, without you seeing all that great information. And if you want to be competitive, if you want to be one of the best, it really behooves you to kind of go out, find that information, find those people who are the best of the best, and follow them and engage with them and be part of that conversation. Because let's say you're a business and your competitors, I guarantee you, are out on Twitter. Well, they're engaging with all your customers and with all the people that are interested in your specific brand or your specific topic, and you're going to want to be part of that conversation. Otherwise, they have a huge leg up on you from a competitive standpoint. It also allows you the opportunity to market, sell, promote, invite, engage, recruit, learn, etc. So you can do so much with that information, and you're not finding that out, again, if you're not engaged with those people and if you're not having those conversations. It can also allow you to gain promoters for your specific brand. Again, you're interacting with the people that are interested in your brand, in your topic, in your product, whatever it may be. And those people are going to want to promote you. And again, if you're not engaged, if you're not active on Twitter, it's really tough to gain those promoters for obvious reasons. And then finally, it really allows you to build your brand as well. So building your brand and figuring out the type of voice that you want to have on social media, that's something that's very important. But you've probably already spent some time kind of branding yourself from a professional standpoint, from a business standpoint, from just a personal standpoint. This allows you to enhance that brand and kind of really find your voice even to a greater detail. Everyone loves stats, so let me kind of go over some quick Twitter stats. First of all, 44% of 18 to 24-year-olds are using Twitter. So if you have a product or a brand that is very, engaged in that sort of age demographic, this is definitely a tool that you want to be using. 44% of 18 to 24-year-olds are using Twitter. That's a really impressive number. Also, 22% of all adults use Twitter. There's over 8,000 tweets per second. People watch over 2 billion videos on Twitter every day. 2 billion. Twitter also, users spend 26% more time watching ads than any other social media channel. So going back to all those videos that people watch, you put a quick, 15, 20, 30-second ad on your feed and you have followers, more people are likely to use that than any other social media channel, which is, again, very, very powerful. 50% of users say they are more likely to buy from a brand after they follow them on Twitter. So again, this is, having that engagement, building promoters, gaining on your net promoter score, if you will. If you are active and engaged with your fans or your, customers on Twitter, they're 50% more likely to actually buy from you. That's a very powerful number. And then 60% of brand followers are more likely to purchase or recommend products after following the brand on Twitter. So not only just purchasing the product, but actually, recommending it to other customers, recommending it to other people. That word of mouth can happen very, very quickly on Twitter, whether it's good or it's bad. But again, that powerful, quick information can spread very, very fast. And, again, 60% are more likely to buy or recommend your product if they're following your brand on Twitter. So some of the things that you need to know about Twitter and how to use Twitter. First of all, Twitter is very organic. It allows you to make these real personal connections. And I kind of mentioned earlier about LinkedIn, and sometimes it can kind of feel a little bit stuffy, a little bit corporate. The more organic that you can be in those conversations, the better. The more organic you can be in your tweets, the better. People are going to sniff out the fakeness and the corporateness and the idea that was sat around a boardroom and bounced around for 3 months before they kind of figured out the perfect tweet. People understand that. They're going to understand that it's not organic, that it's just marketing and PR and all those sort of things. The more organic you can be, the better. I also think that every social media post is a potential opportunity to add value. And this is certainly from a business standpoint. If somebody's mentioning your business or your name or your company in a tweet, that's an opportunity to engage. That's an opportunity to get involved in that conversation and add value to that customer or that fan, whatever it may be. Being engaged on Twitter allows you to help your branding and messaging in a very public and social medium. So this is a very open source. This is not something that, you need a news organization to help you out to put out a press release or anything like that. Being allowed to be engaged on Twitter is really going to help you with your branding and messaging, where it's very public, it's very open, it's very organic, and it doesn't have to be that super marketed, super professional sort of messaging. It can be something that goes viral, that really can engage with people on a personal level. And again, that's one of the reasons why people really enjoy using social media and especially Twitter. And then finally, it allows you to gain ownership of your brand and start building a following. Again, imagine that people are talking about you or your business on Twitter and having those conversations. and you're not out there to monitor those tweets or to respond to them when they mention your name or to have them follow you, again, it's just lost opportunity. And it really allows you to gain ownership of your brand and start building that following rather than have other people sort of talk about your brand for you. So I think that's a really important aspect as well. So where should I start? Start with the basics. Experiment, have fun, attend webinars and keep learning. Find out what works best for your brand, track your results, and cross-promote your social media platform. So if you're kicking off Twitter, let your Facebook followers know. If you're kicking off Facebook, let your Twitter followers know. Start cross-promoting between your social media platforms. To kind of close things up today, Twitter can be a useful tool for everyone, even if you're not the person that's tweeting. You should tweet, but even if you don't, it can still be incredibly powerful. Get involved and start engaging. Be part of those conversations. Build your brand. Set your goals. Remember those do's and don'ts of tweeting and get started today. I can't thank you enough for joining me today. Our next webinar is going to be on Thursday, July 15th. Again, it's going to be part 2, perfecting your digital presence in the creative world. We have a very special guest lined up that you won't want to miss. I will be hosting that webinar as well. So keep an eye out for the details on that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Andy Herman NFL. But go out there, get tweeting, build your brand, build your engagement, and I wish you the best of luck. If you ever want to reach out to me directly, you can email me, Andrew.Herman@russelltobin.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'll also be part of that 5th piece of our webinar series as well, which is the live Q&A. So if you want to ask questions there, I will be available as well. Greatly appreciate you taking the time. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and make sure to check out our webinar next week. Thanks, everyone.